welcome. Please rise and join in singing hymn number 298, Wake Now My Senses. Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Universalists of Sarasota. I am Klaus Obermeit, Chair of the Worship Committee. We coordinate Sunday services when our settled minister, Reverend Jay Wolin, is not in the pulpit. We especially want to welcome our visitors, both on campus and over live stream. We invite our visitors to participate in any of our events. We suggest you check out our website at uusrq.org. The right-hand column is devoted to newcomers wanting to find out more about us and Unitarian Universalism. It includes a link to our virtual guest book. Register there, and we will send you our weekly newsletter and Zoom links to our virtual events. For visitors here in person, you can sign up at the welcome table right outside this building. We invite everyone to join us for refreshments and conversation after the service. We look forward to getting to know each other. The Arts Council is proud to present an exhibition of works by its members. The exhibit includes paintings, photographs, silk screens, jewelry, soft sculpture, and more. Be sure to stop at the Lexo Gallery following the service and learn more about our Arts Council members and their variety of talent. And we welcome Hot Club SRQ Ensemble back to our stage. That's Kevin Ayland and John McLaughlin. Consider the words of Desmond Tutu. If we could but recognize our common humanity, that we do belong together, that our destinies are bound up in one another's, that we can be free only together, that we can survive only together, that we can be human only together, then a glorious world would come into being where all of us live harmoniously together as members of one family, the human family. And now, as we light the chalice, please join me in affirming our spiritual discipline of love, which is printed in your order of services and will be displayed on the screen behind me.
Love is the power that holds us together.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So today's story is Speak Up, written by Miranda Paul and illustrated by Ebony Glenn. There are times when we should be quiet. There are days for letting go. But when a matter seems important, speak up. Let others know. With so many ways to speak up, like a sign, or a smile, or a shout. If we could make things better, why not let the world's words come out? When you're being introduced and they get your name wrong, speak up. Say your name. You are you, and you belong. When someone spreads a rumor, and you're sure it isn't true, speak up. State the facts. Truth can open up our view. When a rule isn't fair or has gotten much too old, speak up. Work for change. Justice comes when we are bold. When a person wounds another with their words or with their fist, speak up. Be an ally. Safety comes when we persist. If you see someone who's lonely or they're having a bad day, speak up. Share a moment. Kindness goes a long, long way. When you make a small mistake, even if you don't know, speak up. Say you're sorry. Learn to listen. Learn to grow. When you have a special day or are given a special treat, speak up. Show your thanks. Gratitude makes life a lot more sweet. And when you're sad or packed with feelings and the world seems dark and gray, speak up. Ask for help. Friendship chases clouds away. And when trees and creatures suffer from our quick and careless choices, speak up and rally others. Nature needs our mindful voices. When you know a scary secret about someone getting hurt, speak up. Tell a grown-up. Courage sometimes means you have to blurt. And when the group is taking one path you know is not the right way, speak up. Change directions. Leaders don't always obey. Well, some people speak loudly, and your words might whisper quiet. One voice can make a difference, so don't hesitate. Go try it. So we often hear about the courage of people like Martin Luther King Jr. and Malala and Ruth Bader Ginsburg and others who have courageously spoken up when they have seen or experienced things that are just not right, or spoke up when a rule no longer was good to have. But the person most people have heard about who was a great leader, in today's vernacular, he would be an influencer, is a man named Jesus of Nazareth, or Jesus Christ to some. A lot of people glorify Jesus for who they believe he is, and not for his teachings, or his courage in speaking up against the things that were not right in his day, or his showing us how to be with each other in a compassionate, helpful, and loving way. So let's be like Jesus, and let us speak up when things aren't right, even when it is scary to do so. So I now invite any children and youth to join me in the West Wing for a story, lesson, and art project on being there in friendship with each other. And if you don't know the way, just follow me. Thank you.
Very nice, thank you. And once again, the words of Desmond Tutu. To ignore people of other faiths and ideologies in an increasingly plural society is to be willfully blind. We are severely impoverished if we do not encounter people of other faiths with reverence and respect for their belief and integrity. I invite you now to join me for a minute of silent meditation. 1031, filled with loving kindness. This song, verse 1, talks about, may I be filled with loving kindness. Verse 2 is may you, and verse 3 is may we. As we sing verse 2, I invite you to turn to a neighbor and sing this song to your neighbor. And the same thing with verse number 3. May I be filled with loving kindness. Christine, can we have the introduction, please? The work of this congregation is supported by the contributions of our members and friends. As we take up our offering, we ask that you be as generous as you can. For those online or those here on your cell phone, there's a link to donate in the description of the YouTube service, the YouTube video, or the QR code in your order of service. Let this sacred time begin. Christine Bruno and her father, Joe Bruno Sr. Thank you. Our scripture reading today comes from the Hebrew Scriptures, Leviticus 19, verses 33 to 34. When an alien resides with you in your land, you shall not oppress the alien. The alien who resides with you shall be to you as a citizen among you. You shall love the alien as yourself, for you were aliens in the land of Egypt. And now once more, Hot Club SRQ. It is my pleasure now to welcome back to our pulpit Reverend Bill Morgan. Bill has been a speaker here for the past 15 years. Many of you know his wife, Jane Rose, who is active in our Forum Committee. Bill served as a minister in the Presbyterian Church in Montana, New Mexico, Texas, Missouri, and Georgia. In all his congregations, he focused on issues of justice, racial, ethnic, and gender, and international peacemaking. In his second career, he taught courses in religion and ethics at universities in Georgia and Florida. Here for the remainder of our service, Reverend Bill Morgan. Yeah.
Thank you. I've, as you saw things said, I was a Presbyterian for many years until my wife told me there's another place where you ought to be, and it is in a UU church. I've been involved in UU churches across this area, just doing services. She is on the board here now, I think. She's right about most things. It's nice to be here. I do not consider myself a Christian, but rather a follower of what I prefer to describe as the Jesus movement. It is an understanding of life with roots in the biblical gospel stories of Jesus without adherence to a Christian doctrine. It refers to a particular way of living. Jesus' message, an example of radical inclusivity, in which there is room for outsiders, believers, doubters, and misfits. Jesus was not, as many in the church claim, the founder of Christianity. Jesus was not a Christian. He was Jewish by birth and remained Jewish throughout his life. He did not establish a religion. He lived a life that in nearly a century after he lived drew people toward that way of living. It didn't become a religion for at least another century. What he did was simply to live in a particular way, a way shaped by his Jewish heritage, but not confined to the boundaries of that heritage. Religions always create border rules to determine who is in and who is out, what is acceptable, what is not acceptable. What I refer to as the Jesus movement is a way of moving through life that defies much of what religions do by validating a movement that crosses boundaries. The experience of Jesus was an experience of love, and not love as a sweet feeling or a romantic experience or an in-the-gut emotion, but love as concrete action. This love was a powerful, life-affirming reality. It was a love that broke every human barrier and erased every human prejudice. Read through any of the Gospels individually, Matthew, Mark, or Luke, not looking for little verses that will help you be successful or find love or find peace of mind or let you get on a track to a life after this one. Just read the Gospels looking for how many times and ways the Jesus the Gospels tell of crossing the boundaries that his society set. He moved with a love that would not be confined by the limits of the society into which he was born. It was a love that put human life before religious rules. It was a love that transcended the societal definitions of what was thought to be clean or unclean. Not only Gentiles, the non-believers, but lepers, prostitutes, tax collectors, thieves, felt the touch of that love, reached out to them across society's boundaries, and invited them in as fellow human beings. No barriers could be erected around the love that was seen in the life of Jesus. It was a terrifying, boundary-free love that erased the boundary lines and rendered religious security systems no longer operative. That love called for profound changes in the human mindset, for openness, for the death of prejudice, for the radical security of a fully accessible humanity, for the end of any human isolation. The doors of that boundaries were now fully open. All human societies, from family to interest group to business to nation to religion, all set the boundaries for who is acceptable, who is in, who is out. If you're not with us, if you don't agree with us, you don't belong. These are the security systems that remind us that we, inside our boundaries, are okay, or at least better than most others. But humans are afraid or unwilling to lose that security and become vulnerable. Every assault on societal or religious prejudice today elicits anew the incredible human anger of an insecure creature, an insecurity that was never seen in Jesus. But we clutch our defining limitations to our breasts like drugs from which we dare not be purged, and religion serves to comfort us. Throughout history, there have always been some who were outside the boundaries. So we convinced ourselves of the subhuman status of black people, of women, of left-handed people, homosexual people. We have reacted to persons who are transsexual the way that past societies had reacted to lepers. We built and shaped our churches to house the righteous, the good ones, while relegating transphobic and other gender-diverse people to the ranks of the rejected. It's not unique to Christianity. Many religions do this. This love that gave Jesus the freedom to live was rooted in those early foundational chapters in Genesis, chapters 1 through 10, the powerful claim that we are all members of one family. I came to my understanding by carefully reading the biblical stories. Instead of fitting the stories to a religion, telling people what they already believed, what they'd always been taught, what we should instead be finding is not what gives us comfort, telling us we are right, but what makes us uncomfortable, even angry, what will cost us something. Being willing to cross our boundaries can enable us to find a whole other dimension to life. The experience of Jesus was an experience of crossing boundaries to embrace all life. Jesus embraced the woman in the street who interrupted his dinner with the religious leaders to wash his feet with her tears and dry them with her hair. He embraced Zacchaeus, a tax collector, who being short climbed a tree to get a better view, only to discover later himself hosting Jesus at dinner. He embraced a woman whose only desire was to touch the hem of his robe. He even embraced a Samaritan woman, the woman at the well. And when the disciples saw him talking publicly to a woman who was one of the hated Samaritans, those not of our religion or nation, the text says they were thunderstruck. I've always liked that statement. This love was so present in Jesus that his life was appealing, transcendent, open, full, free. It was a life that pressed against every social, economic, or political limitations. The biblical record shows one who had the courage to live his life unrestricted, regardless of external circumstances. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the young German theologian who defied the Nazis, understood what it meant to move with unrestricted actions impelled by love. In his letters from prison, he said that to be a Christian is not to be religious, it is just to be. So Martin Niemöller, who spent 7 years in the concentration camp at Dachau for preaching a sermon that said that Hitler was not his Führer, Christ was, Niemöller is known for his statement, "When they came for the trade unionists, I did not protest because I was not a trade unionist. When they came for the Jews, I did not protest because I was not a Jew. When they came for the Catholics, I did not protest, for I was not a Catholic. Then, when they came for me, there was no one left to protest." When Niemöller's parents were asked what it was like to have a son in prison, his father says, "It is terrible, but it would be even more terrible to have a son who was out of prison because he was afraid to stand for what is right." A question: who are they coming for these days that might make you want to stand up and say, "This is not right"? Niemöller's father's words resonate for me today when the President of the United States builds a concentration camp to hold those who have been labeled aliens, to build it in Florida. I won't dignify it by using the catchy title he and his supporters are giving to that camp, but should it be called anything other than a concentration camp? Let's call it what it is, and let's say loudly, "This is not right." To have the courage to be oneself, to claim the ability to define oneself, to live one's life in freedom and with power is the essence of the human experience. "I came that they may have life and have it abundantly," John's gospel has him saying. True Christianity ultimately issues in a broader and deeper humanism. Any attitude that diminishes or thwarts the being of another person is an affront to the meaning of Jesus. The Jesus movement is an internal call to love, to live, to be, and to allow. It is an invitation to cross the boundaries to work for those things that create life and to oppose those people and those attitudes and those systems that distort and diminish life. To turn the word alien, which should be a reference to another face of beauty, of reality, to turn it into a word that should be not used or not used in any positive way, we're hearing that word a lot these days. But the early Jesus movement itself didn't last long. Once it became a religion and Christianity got a hold on it, it was transformed into something else. It was so dangerous that it had to be tamed. Otherwise, religion itself would suffer. Religion had to be protected. As in the taming of the shrew, when Petruchio attempts to tame his wife, Katharina, in order to make her more submissive, the Jesus of the Gospels likewise had to be tamed to fit the acceptable views of the day. Still true sometimes. To move through life with love, one must be open to crossing boundaries. These may even be boundaries that we don't realize harm our relationship to others. Unlike the doctor who was the recipient of an open letter of gratitude in the New York Times, doctors can sometimes get so focused on addressing a patient's medical problem that they seem detached from the whole person. DeMarco wrote about a doctor who showed both professionalism and life and love by crossing that boundary line when that doctor was caring for his wife. The doctor, he said, didn't just treat a woman and her family as a machine in need of repair. DeMarco says of her, "How many times did you hug me and console me when I fell to pieces? Or asked about Laura's life and the person she was? How many times you took to look at her photos or read the things I'd written about her? How many times did you ever deliver bad news with compassionate words and sadness in your eyes? To have the love that enables crossing boundaries is to enrich the lives of others as well as our own. Let us move to the closing song, Imagine. applause was for my singing, but, you know, give Klaus some credit. My wife won't even let me sing at home. Hear these closing words, and you might say them with me. Go into the world in peace. Have courage. Hold on to what is good. Return away evil for evil. Strengthen the faint-hearted. Support the weak. Help the suffering. Honor all persons. And so give life a human face.
can still hear it. So is it that receiver? Maybe it's below battery level? Or something else?